Muscat City Tour, A Day to Remember in Oman by Alice Phillips. Day tour itinerary. 1 full day in Muscat. Morning. The Sultan Qaboos Grand Mosque, a sea of tranquility and light. The moment I stepped out into the Omani sun, I knew the day was going to be unforgettable. Our first stop was the Sultan Qaboos Grand Mosque, and honestly, I was not prepared for the sheer majesty of it. Everything about it whispered reverence. The golden dome gleamed in the sun like it had been dipped in honey, and the symmetry of the white marble against the blue sky, unreal. I removed my shoes and stepped inside. The silence, the intricately woven prayer carpet, the shimmer of the Swarovski crystal chandelier overhead. It all felt surreal. I wasn't just observing architecture. I was wrapped in an experience of peace and beauty. Day's highlight number 1. The light filtering through the mosque's stained glass windows. Absolute magic. Mid-morning. Bait Al Zubair Museum, a stroll through Omani soul. Next, we visited the Bait Al Zubair Museum, which was like wandering into a time capsule filled with color, culture, and pride. The exhibits of traditional clothing, weapons, and even a recreation of an Omani house gave me context to everything I'd seen so far. There was something humbling about seeing the fine detail in their khanjars, traditional daggers, and the care with which the Bedouin jewelry was crafted. I paused at one corner, watching a small group of kids sketch the items, future artists capturing ancient artistry. Day's highlight number 2, a mini courtyard filled with stone models of old Omani villages. It felt like peering into a miniature world. Midday, the fish market, where the city breathes. And then came Muttrah Fish Market, a complete 180 from the serenity of the museum. It was bustling, loud, and oddly refreshing. Fishermen, locals, and curious tourists like me. We all melded into this living, breathing part of Muscat. Fresh catches shimmered on ice. The smell of the sea clung to the air, and I found myself grinning at the casual skill with which sellers cleaned and weighed their fish. One man held up a giant tuna like it was a trophy, and I applauded without thinking. Day's highlight number 3, watching a local kid haggle for sardines with confidence I could only dream of. Afternoon. Muttrah Souq, color, chaos, and cardamom. Oh, the Muttrah Souq. If the fish market was lively, this was electricity incarnate. I ducked into the covered alleyways with their wooden lattice roofs and was instantly engulfed by a symphony of scents: frankincense, spices, sandalwood, and oud. Vibrant fabrics spilled from stalls like rivers of silk. I bought a small silver bracelet from an elderly vendor who winked and told me it was enchanted. I believed him. Every corner was an Instagram dream and a cultural treasure trove at once. Day's highlight number 4, getting happily lost in the maze of shops and finding a little antique compass felt like fate. Late afternoon, Al Alam Palace, elegance in blue and gold. Standing in front of the Sultan's Al Alam Palace, I felt like stepped into a dream of Arabian elegance. The building, blue and gold like royalty incarnate, seemed to defy the usual rules of architecture. It wasn't meant to dominate the landscape. It was meant to dazzle. Though we couldn't enter, I lingered at the gates longer than planned, trying to memorize every column, every arch. The guards were stoic, the air regal. It felt like a modern fairy tale. Day's highlight, number 5, watching the late afternoon sun bounce off the palace columns, turning everything into golden silk. Drive along Muttrah Corniche, the heartbeat of Muscat. We wrapped up the tour with a scenic drive along the Muttrah Corniche. And wow! The sea, the cliffs, the colonial-era buildings. It was like Muscat was slowly revealing her soul to us. I rolled down the window and let the breeze carry the scent of salt and jasmine. Locals strolled along the waterfront. Kids played, lovers whispered. It was life, simple and beautiful. Final impression of the day? That exact moment on the Corniche when the sky melted into the sea and I felt perfectly still inside. One-day summary, a single day in Muscat, and I felt like I had traveled through centuries. From sacred silence to sensory overload, Oman's capital gave me everything: mystery, warmth, tradition, and wonder. I left with sand on my shoes, stories in my heart, and a soul just a little bit wider.